Welcome to today's Explainer. Every single day we make thousands of choices. I mean, everything from what to eat for breakfast to massive life altering career moves. But how much of that is actually conscious thought? Today, we're diving deep into the psychology of decision making. And, spoiler alert, you might just find out that you aren't quite the captain of the ship you think you are.
Picture this. You walk into a store to buy a new smartphone. Boom, two options right in front of you. On the left, a cheaper, basic phone. On the right, a wildly expensive model packed with every advanced feature imaginable. You're just standing there, the clock is ticking, and you're thinking, man, which one do I actually buy? Now, really ask yourself, are you truly making that decision of your own free will in that exact moment? Or has your brain, completely behind the scenes, already made the call?
To really get how this works, let's look at a guy named Rahul. Rahul just landed a job offer from a major company, but he was immediately hit with this massive dilemma. He had to choose between two totally different paths. Option A offered a significantly higher salary, but it demanded these grueling 12-hour workdays. Option B, a lower salary, but way more time to spend with his family. It's that ultimate classic struggle, right? Money versus time.
Which brings us to section 1. Is the decision really yours? The illusion of choice.
We walk around with this profound illusion of choice, completely believing we're these incredibly logical beings. Take Rahul, for example. He spent days just agonizing over his dilemma. He asked his friends for advice, spent hours scouring the internet, and meticulously wrote out a list of pros and cons. In his mind, he was acting like a perfectly rational computer, just crunching the data to reach a logical conclusion. But underneath all that agonizing, a whole multitude of hidden subconscious mechanics were already firing off, and he didn't even realize it.
Moving on to section 2, emotion or logic, the hidden drivers.
So despite flattering ourselves as these highly logical creatures, emotion is actually the one heavily driving the wheel. We naturally gravitate toward choices that give us a sense of psychological safety. If a path feels secure, your brain subtly nudges you right in that direction. If you've been burned before, well, your brain instantly steers you away so you don't repeat that pain. Those deep-seated needs for emotional safety are what actually dictate your final choice, honestly, long before that pro and con list is even finished.
Let's get into section 3, fast versus slow brain, two systems of thought.
Think of it like this. Our minds essentially run on two competing operating systems. The fast brain is instant and intuitive. It's the instinct that pulls your hand off a hot stove in a fraction of a second, or, decides if you like someone the absolute second you meet them. The slow brain, on the other hand, is highly analytical and calculated. It searches for proof. It handles the heavy lifting, like deciding to buy a house, investing your life savings, or making a massive career pivot. But here is where the glitch in our mental software really kicks in. The critical error we constantly make as human beings is that we actually rely on our quick, intuitive fast brain to make incredibly important, life-altering decisions. Decisions that absolutely, without a doubt, require the analytical slow brain. We literally let snap judgments dictate major life choices. This takes us right to section 4, the brain's shortcuts and bias, the glitch in our software. Because the brain is just constantly bombarded with data every single day, it has to take these energy-saving shortcuts. Enter confirmation bias. This is our subconscious tendency to only notice and believe information that supports what we already think. It is an incredibly effective filter for blocking out anything that proves us wrong, which, frankly, is probably why arguing with strangers on the internet almost never changes anyone's mind. To put this into everyday terms, just think about brand loyalty. Let's say you've already decided that a specific brand of smartphone is absolutely the best on the market. Well, because of confirmation bias, as you sit down to do your so-called unbiased research, you're subconsciously only going to notice the good features of that brand. You will literally be blind to its flaws, or even the superior features of a competitor. This mental tendency dictates your final choice entirely, and the crazy part is, you never even realize you're doing it.
Which leads us to section 5, ways to make better decisions, the override.
Okay, so how do we actually initiate an override? First off, never rush an important choice. You have to give your slow brain the time it needs to boot up. Second, actively hunt for opposing facts. If you think a decision is completely flawless, force yourself to research exactly why it might ruin your life. Seriously, break that confirmation bias. Third, wait on emotion. Step away from the keyboard if you're angry, or just hold off on that giant purchase if you're overly excited. And finally, ask yourself, is this based on objective data or just my internal feelings?
When it really comes down to it, every choice is a deeply complex psychological cocktail. Your final decision equals logic, plus emotion, plus memory, plus habit, plus all those invisible mental shortcuts we just talked about. And this equation right here is exactly why two people can face the exact same dilemma, look at the exact same data, and make completely different choices. Their internal equations are just entirely different from one another. So the next time you find yourself standing at a major crossroads, about to make a huge move in your life, I want you to just pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself this one ultimate question. Am I deciding this based on actual hard facts, or am I just acting on feelings and letting my brain's old, tired habits steer the wheel? I really hope this explainer has given you a totally new perspective on how your mind actually works. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Head down to the comments and let me know, what was the absolute hardest decision of your life? And looking back on it now, do you think your fast brain or your slow brain made the final call? If you found this as fascinating as I did and you want to understand more about the hidden mechanics of your mind, make sure you're subscribed. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning how you think.